Thank you for attending this classroom session with Shortcuts. My name is Noah. I'm one of the educators with Shortcuts, and today we're going to be looking at the walk-in manager. And this is for our point of sale customers. Now, just so you know, we are introducing Spanish language versions of these workshops, and those actually happen on Wednesday. So if you have a majority Spanish speaking staff or your manager is a Spanish speaking, then you might want to let them know that we have Wednesday classroom sessions, at least for the first few, where they can attend. And they're going to be on the same topics. So tomorrow, again, if you have a Spanish speaking staff, we're going to have a walk-in manager basics for those people in Spanish. So let's go ahead and do some basic homework. So as with our other classroom sessions, this presentation is going to be about 30 or 40 minutes. My microphone is on. We are recording this session, so if you have to leave early, that's okay. We will send you a copy to the link once we have it available for you. And of course, at the end of the presentation, we will allow time for questions. So if you think of any questions after the fact, if you're watching this video later, you can go ahead and email us, and I'll have our contact information a little bit later on. So today, we're going to be looking at the new Shortcuts 8 walk-in manager. So how exactly do you use it? How do you set up your options? How do you keep track of your staff hours? How do you work with the standby and in-service screen? And if you're recording customer details, how do you add those? How do you update those? And of course, how do you check customers out? So for those that haven't used the walk-in manager or are returning to the salon after being closed and you just need a refresher, this is the classroom session for you. So working with the walk-in manager in Shortcuts. And again, this is on Shortcuts version 8. It is our latest build. So the screens might look a little bit different to you, but all of the functionality and all of the steps are actually identical to the previous version of Shortcuts, which is version 7, otherwise known as Shortcuts Fusion. So with the walk-in manager, there's a few things you want to configure ahead of time. If your business requires you to print up a visit ticket or an in-service ticket, you actually have the ability to configure that. Also, if you're recording things like you'd like to get customers' names, numbers, emails, things like that, you can configure all of that ahead of time. In Shortcuts, the place to do this is to go to Setup, Configuration, and on the left side of the screen, to go to the General and Walk-in option. And we'll see that in just a moment. Now, if you do not have security permissions to view this, and this is controlled by security, you may need to have an owner elevate your permissions. If you're a manager, for example, and you don't see some of these options, you may have to get the owner to elevate your permissions. So let's actually look at where we go in Shortcuts to adjust those walk-in manager permissions, or sorry, those walk-in manager settings. So on the right side, I'm going down to the Setup button, and once I'm in Setup, I'm going to go to Configuration. The Configuration tab or the Configuration button in Shortcuts is the only button that will open up the second menu on the left side of the screen. So on the left side, we're going to the General tab, and under General, we are going to scroll down a little bit, and you notice there's a little icon of a person walking. So that's our walk-in settings. On the left column, if your business requires you to print a visit ticket as soon as a customer comes in, or to print a service ticket when the customer actually goes to the chair, those are your first two options: print visit ticket or print in-service ticket. And then some of the other settings you may want to do is prompt for visit tag. So when a customer comes in, perhaps you want to find out what types of customers you're getting. So a visit tag allows you to set things like this is a salon regular or a shop regular, this is a new client, this is a new client that requested a specific employee, or this is a customer that's requesting a specific employee. Each one of those tags will actually show up in the tag usage report. So you get a head count on the types of customers that you're getting. In the right column, where it has the client data focus, does your business try to record names, numbers, emails for your customers so that you can market to them later? Or are you really a walk-in business and you're not really interested in capturing that data? So that's where you have the client data focus. You're either predominantly do not collect the info or you do collect the info. And then for production value. So when the staff looks at their productivity, when the staff's looking at how many haircuts they did, do you want extra pieces of information? Like how many clients they're seeing per hour, or what's their service revenue per hour, or no data at all? So from here, you set some of the options. So depending on your business again is where you turn on or turn off some of these features. Now we'll go back to the right side of the screen to the actual walk-in manager. And then let's go back to the presentation. So make sure you adjust your settings first. So now that you've adjusted some of those settings, you need to know about the new layout. Now, if you're used to the walk-in manager in Shortcut 7, Shortcuts Fusion, you'll notice that the middle column has been removed. So now we have a left column and a right column, and the staff, instead of being listed at the bottom of the screen, they're now at the top of the screen. So the top of the screen will show you which staff members are scheduled to work today. Are they on the clock or off the clock right now? On the left column, these are customers that are waiting to be served. And on the right column are the customers that are in service. So there's just a few minor changes here, but the functionality is still the same. Now, before a staff member can be selected to perform a haircut or any other service, they have to be on the clock. So to do that, this is a new feature in Shortcuts 8. You would click the name of the staff member, and on the top right corner, the employee has the ability to clock on or clock off. There's just a little button on the top right corner. The other place where they can clock in and clock off is if they go to the performance button, and then there is a clock on feature. So if you have a receptionist, if you have somebody working the front desk, and their name is not listed to do haircuts, then that staff member would actually go to the performance button to clock in and out. Plus, they may have permission to clock on or clock off other staff members. Now, if you forget to put in employee schedules or an employee comes in on their off day to try to make up some hours, you do have the ability to press the employee button, that's the little plus employee, select somebody that's not normally scheduled for that day, and then clock them on so that you're tracking their hours. So you still have those abilities, those features in Shortcuts. And then once they're on the clock, you can actually customize what you're looking at. So on the waitlist screen or on the client in service screen, if you go to the very top of the columns where it says waiting, employee, price, estimated start time, things like that, if you right click, you can actually enable or disable certain columns. So maybe you like to keep the interface very clean and just have two things, the name of the customer, when their estimated time is, then you can do that. Or you want to share which employee they're supposed to be with or what the price is or hide those. Again, you can right click and turn those features on or off. So how do you put a customer into the walk-in manager? Somebody comes into the business, they're ready to check in, get a haircut. So how do you do that? Well, if your business predominantly collects the customer info, names, numbers, things like that, then you'll press the check-in button. And from that screen, you can either search for an existing customer, and the features for search allow you to search via first name, last name, phone number, or even email. Or you can press the new client button and fill in the blanks for a new customer. Now, if your shop does not collect client information, then you still have the ability to check them in, of course, And instead of searching for first name or last name or phone number, instead, you can press the client identifier and just type in a first name. And this way, you'll just record a name so that you know who to call when they're next in line, and then press done. Now, everything that I'm talking about, I will show you in a live demo. So after you choose a customer or after you create a customer, you then either add a tag if your shop requires it, or you select a service. Now, you do have the ability to select a single or multiple services from the service screen. And again, if you're tracking demographics like, is this a new client? Is this a shop regular? Did they request an employee? You may also use tags for that. Now, if there is an employee that's on the clock and they're available, then Shortcuts will suggest, okay, this employee is available to take this service. Would you like to put them in service now or keep them on the wait list? If the customer requests a different employee, you do have the ability to press the employee name and then choose a different staff member. Otherwise, if the customer wants to wait for their favorite, then they can press the wait button, or your staff can press the wait button. Or if the customer wants to leave, perhaps get some coffee, come back later, but keep their name on the list, you can press the return button, in which case you have the ability to skip that customer for the next available. Now you can manually put a customer into the service menu and then back into the waitlist or check them out. There's a very quick way to do that. If a customer is in service, you just press the arrow that points to the right. So that takes the customer from the waitlist to the in-service list. And when they're ready to check out, you press the little shopping cart icon. Now, if a customer was about to go in service and they say, no, you know what, I'm going to wait for my favorite, you can put them back on the waitlist. It's very easy. You just press the arrow pointing to the left. And if there's multiple customers and they're in a group and one person's going to pay for all their visits, so mom or dad show up and they're going to pay for the kids, then you can actually press the checkbox to the left of all of those customers, and when you check them out, they'll be checked out as a group. So let's actually go through all of these steps. So we're going to exit out of the presentation and into the walk-in manager. So again, the very first thing I have to do is let Shortcuts know which employees are on the clock. Are they clocked in? Are they ready to work? At the top of the screen, you can see that my staff, Andy, Sam, Joe, and Stevie, they're all in, they're all clocked on. And I know that because there's a little green circle that appears next to their name. If I click on Andy's name, on the top right, there's a little button that says clock on/off. If I were to press this, then in the case of Andy, Andy would be taken off the clock. So you notice Andy's name has now been moved to the end of the employee list and there's a gray circle. So the gray lets you know that this employee is not here right now. If I click it again, I can put Andy back on the clock. Now, if Andy actually meant to go on break, to take a lunch, to just be away for a few minutes, you do have the ability to select the employee and at the bottom of the screen, select away for, and then choose how many minutes. So in this case, Andy's going to be out for 15 minutes, and I'll press away. The button next to Andy's name is now yellow. So yellow means that the employee is away, he's unavailable to take a service. So if a customer comes in and they choose the next available employee, Shortcuts will actually skip Andy's name because Shortcuts knows Andy is not available at least for the next 15 minutes. And of course, when Andy returns, if I select his name again, I can press the return button and Andy's status changes. So we always want to make sure that the staff is clocked in and ready to work. If a customer comes in and they want to check in for an appointment or check in for a visit, you press the check-in button. If this business, and on my test machine here, I don't necessarily collect a lot of customer information. So I only need to add a first name. So the next person that comes in is maybe David. I'll make up a name, David. And that's it. Once I press done, Shortcuts will at least ask me to tag this customer. Is this a new client? Is this a regular? I'll say this is a new client and then press done. So what is David in for? From my list of service categories on the left side, I can select haircuts. David is in for a men's haircut. Once I've selected it, in the bottom row, it says this customer is getting a haircut. The employee is any, so that means the employee is the next available. And then this is the price. So I will press done, and this visit has now been made. So David currently has an 11-minute wait, and he's scheduled with Sam, my next available employee. So does the customer want to wait? Does the customer want to choose a different employee? Or should I put him in service? In this case, I can go ahead and put him in service. So I'll select in service, and Shortcuts confirms he's getting a haircut with Sam. I can press done. Now for any customer that had an appointment, if your shop, if your salon actually has both the appointment book and the walk-in manager, any appointments that are in your appointment book will also show up in your walk-in manager. And you know these are appointments because on the left side of the screen, next to the name of all of the customers, there's a little calendar icon. So I know all of these names are actually appointments that are from my appointment book. They're not walk-ins. So I can actually take these other customers and put them in service. So I'll take George, select his name, and press the arrow pointing to the right to put him in service. Oh, now in this case I made a mistake because George is visiting with Sam and Sam's currently doing a haircut. I can cancel that, my mistake. But the next customer, Julia here, she's booked with Stevie. I'll put her in service. And Joe can cut Wally's hair. And Andy can cut Danye's hair. So now all 4 of my employees are performing haircuts and the rest of the customers are waiting. And you notice, as soon as I move the customers into the in-service window, the estimated start time for the remaining customers gets adjusted. If your business has a wallboard, that is a television screen that actually shows the names of the customers, that wallboard will display your new times, your new wait times, and your new estimated wait times for each customer. So now when they're ready to check out, if I had a single customer that was ready to check out, I can press the little shopping cart icon on the right side of the in-service window. And if multiple customers were checking out, one person was paying for that, I can select the little checkbox to the left of their name. And in this example, the first 2 customers, Wally and David, if I select the checkbox and then press the shopping cart, the checkout button, then both of those customers will check out at the same time. Now remember, from the point of sale, if your business requires you to count the money in the register first before you start your day, then you have to go to the transactions button and start your session before you're allowed to check customers out. Now, in this case, I've already started my session, so I should be okay to check them out. So we'll pause here for a moment and we'll go back to the presentation. So you saw how easy it was to actually put customers in service, to clock in the staff, and even to check out a single or groups of customers. So once the customer is in the point of sale, what options do you have? So of course, from the point of sale, you can check out customers directly. There is a pull-down menu at the top of the screen. And that pull-down menu allows you to select the name of any customer that's in service already. You can also group customers from that list or sell just a service to a customer that walked in or a product to a customer that just walked in. Plus, you can select a specific group, and if one of the customers in the group wants to buy products, you can assign those products to that person specifically. And we will actually look at this in just a moment. Now, if your shop, if your salon likes to record customer information, so you have a lot of regular customers that come in, they have certain haircuts that they get, or if you do some color services, there's certain formulas you want to record, you do have the ability to save that information for your clients. What you would do is you would right click on their visit and press change details. From there, you can go to the history button and then press new. So this is where your staff would actually write down any notes, any visit notes, any history notes that you should know about. So if you have a family that comes in and two of their kids have a certain haircut, you can put in a note, this kid has a clipper cut that he likes, or this kid has a scissor cut that he likes, or if you're doing color formulas, this is the gray blending that I use for this client, this is the particular color or the particular shade. Save those in the history notes. In this way, if any staff member is out sick that day and the customer goes and he says or she says, oh, just give me the usual, the new employee can just go to the history and see exactly what this customer likes. So you should also know that, of course, when the staff takes breaks, we want to make sure that that gets reflected accurately in the walk-in manager. And when I showed you where the staff clocks in and clocks out, remember, press the away button so that the walk-in manager knows the staff is not available for this visit. This will actually affect your online services. So if you have a kiosk, a tablet, for example, where the customers check themselves in, make sure the staff knows, say that I'm away if you're going to take a lunch break or you're going to just take a coffee break, so that customers see correct times for their estimated wait times. And of course, when the staff returns, press the return button so that all your online services show that the staff member is back. So you can always modify when a customer is either in service or in the wait screen. If you right click the name of the customer, you can add additional services. So if a customer comes in for a haircut and once they're in the chair, they say, oh, well, can I also get a beard trim? Or can you do some camel color on my hair? I have a lot of gray coming in. Just right click on their name and go to services and update that information. So you can always put them in groups, change the services, update the details, and that's by a simple right-click command. So let's actually go back into shortcuts and look at some of these things I've talked about. So we'll jump out of here. So we ended on the point of sale, so let's pick up here. So in this case, this group is ready to check out. If one of the customers wants to buy a product and they're in a group, you don't necessarily sell a product to a group. You sell it to an individual. So using the pull-down menu at the top of the screen, I can say that Wally wants to buy a product. So I'm going to add that to the group ticket. I'll either scan in the bottle if I have my barcode scanner handy, or I can select a blank row and say perhaps Joe recommended a certain product, and I'll just choose this AV shampoo and then press done. So I've added some shampoo to the ticket, and now using the pull down menu, I can return to my group number 1. So the total's been updated. Wally's going to pay for the visit. He's going to give me a credit card, and I'll say it was a Visa, and then press finish sale. So it's that easy to check out a customer. If I want to send him an email receipt or print up a receipt, I do have those options. And then Shortcuts automatically goes back to the point of sale, or from the point of sale to the walk-in manager. So if Danye was ready to check out, again, I can press the shopping cart icon. The customer will pay with a card, this case Visa again, and then I can finish the sale. If I happen to have the customer's email, it will auto-populate and allow him the option to get an email. I'll say no receipt for now. And again, Shortcuts goes back to the walk-in manager. Now let's go back to point of sale for just a moment. At the top of the screen, if you ever have a customer that just walks in off the street, they'd like to buy some shampoo, some conditioner, some pomade, you can use the pull-down menu and go to hashtag retail and then check the customer out right away. You're not asking for a name or a number. If a customer comes in and let's say it's very slow and this customer doesn't want to use the kiosk, they just want to sit on somebody's chair, get a haircut, and then pay, then you can just check them out directly from here as a walk-in visit. Shortcuts will let you choose who the employee was. I'll say Sam. What service did Sam do? Sam actually did, again, a men's haircut. And then how did the customer pay? With cash. So in this case, we don't even record the name of the customer. So these are quick transactions here. So let's go back to the walk-in manager. So a few customers have already checked out. So I can now take my customers that are on the wait list on the left side of the screen, and I'll put George in service. And who else will go in service? John will go in service. And that'll be it for now. Now, in this case, if Andy was available and there was a customer waiting, I do have the ability to select a visit. And in this case, I'm going to select the first one. And then I can right click and I can change the employee. So I will change the employee from Sam to Andy. So now that Andy is there, I can put him in service. And Shortcuts will confirm that I've made a change. And once the customers are in service, again, I can right click the name of the customer and I can go to the client's visits, the details here, or delete the visit in this case, or I can go to the details, and the details allows me access to the customer's card. So if the customer mentions I have a new phone number, I can update it. This is my email because I'd like to get a coupon on my birthday. Or on the bottom center, history, the most important button. So history is where you go to record those visit notes. So you will see all of the customer's previous visits. I'm going to record a new note. So in this case, George is a regular customer and he gets a certain haircut. So I can say clipper cut, number 2 guard, and scissors on side. So whatever the haircut is. And then press done. So that's going to be a hideous haircut, but there it is. So now that I've saved it, any staff member can go to his history and just see what sort of haircut he gets. And I can save this and press done. Again, to go back and save or add customer notes, right-click the name of the customer, change those details. Notice you can also check out the customer right from here. So let's go back to the presentation. And it's just that easy. That is actually the walk-in manager from Shortcuts from beginning to end. Clocking in the staff, making sure that you track their wait time as well, how to add customers, how to choose services, how to apply tags, how to change those details, and of course, how to check them out. So Shortcuts 8 makes it very easy to get customers in and out of the salon or the shop, makes it easy to keep track of your employees, their performance, and of course, all of their visits. So now we're going to open up the floor for questions. On the right side of your screen, if you're using the GoToWebinar plugin, there should be a chat window. So go ahead and open up the chat window. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type it in. So I'll give everybody a few moments. Now, if you're watching this video after the fact, if you're watching this video later today or tomorrow or any other day, and you think of a question, you do have the ability to reach out to us. I'll show you our contact information in just a moment. Also, if you joined us late and you didn't catch the introduction, we are actually introducing something new for the first few presentations this year. If you have a majority Spanish speaking staff or your manager is Spanish speaking, tomorrow we will be doing a Spanish version of this presentation for the walk-in manager. So Tuesdays will be our English version, Wednesdays will be our Spanish versions, at least for the first few. So I don't see any questions, and I'm checking the window. Just want to double check. Oh, Danny has a statement. Oh, thank you, Danny. Just a compliment from Danny. So let's go to the question here. Okay, so I don't think there are any questions, so let's go to the next slide. So again, if you're watching this video after the fact, if you're using the walk-in manager, or let's say you're using the previous version of Shortcuts, Shortcuts 7, Shortcuts Fusion, and not the version that you just saw, which is Shortcuts 8, let us know and we can get your site upgraded. So the newest version still has all of the features that you're used to. If you have online services, if you have self check-in, if you have things like online booking, it's all compatible with it. It's just the interface is a little newer, a little more streamlined, so it's less button presses to get customers in and customers out. Now, somebody did have a question. Soki has a question. Do we have a COVID-19 screening option? We don't necessarily in Shortcuts have a button that says, has the customer had a test, yes or no, things like that. However, we do have the ability to send a message, an email, either an email or a text, before the customer comes in. And you can actually set what the window is. So should the email or the text go out 5 minutes before, 30 minutes before, an hour, up to 24 hours in advance. That just lets them know what your policy is. So 2 hours perhaps before their visit, the customer receives an email that says, if you have any cold or flu-like symptoms, please call to reschedule. If you've been in contact with somebody that potentially has COVID, please call to reschedule. Things like that. Or if you're a family salon, then you can say you are the only person that is allowed to be in during this visit, or up to one adult. We don't have coat racks available or hat racks available. Some of the salons are trying to prevent the spread of COVID by just limiting what the clients can bring in. Or please call when you arrive and we will let you know when your chair is ready. So whatever your specific rules are for your salon or your shop, we do have the ability to send out an automated message before the client gets there. Other than that, we don't necessarily have a button or some sort of check that we can attach to a service. That is an excellent suggestion, though, Soki. Okay. Are there any other questions that you may have? And again, if you're watching this video after the fact, you can reach out to us. You can contact our customer care team to see about getting an upgrade for your system if you're using the previous build of Shortcuts. If you just have a question on using the appointment book, using the walk-in manager, you can also reach out to us on our social media pages. So we do check in on Facebook, we do check in on Instagram. So if you just reach us at Shortcuts North America, we of course will get back to you. And that includes the education team. So I read the messages and the staff reads the messages. So Thank you all for attending. I'm going to end the presentation here, and we will be sending a link out to everybody a little bit later today. So I look forward to seeing you on the next classroom session. Have a great day.